Will you adopt the agenda as presented? I have two amendments to the agenda. One being to amend the regular meeting to remove item 11B regarding council's consideration to give third reading to the zoning amendment bylaw number 1606-84, 2016. And the second amendment is to add as a late item report section. Council Ross would like to give the council a brief update on the report of the issue that he has been working on. She was unable to release the report. And may I have a mover to adopt the amended agenda as presented? All in favor? So carried. May I have a motion to adopt the January 11th, 2016 special Livonia County minutes as presented? Councilor Thompson, second. Councilor Butler. All in favor? So carried. May I have a motion to adopt the January 11th, 2016 public hearing meeting as presented?
On page 8 of page 9 and 107, meeting that I wrote at 6:22 or 6:10, it should be 6:24 to the full 20 minutes.
All in favor? So carried. May I have a motion to adopt the January 11th, 2016 regular meeting minutes as presented? Second. All in favor? So carried. Moving on to our written report. Council. May I have a motion to receive the written report from council as received?
I apologize for not being in the written report. As everybody knows, I have been working on a forestry initiative law of forestry trees. And the next meeting of council, I would like to show some graphics of what that could look like. I did submit a letter to DCTS after the event from the I joined apologize. And basically she said that they're going to extend the comment period because the public comment period is online only what they call stakeholders, student and student. And the regional arbitrary means, no the student land force receives any notice of the development plan. Historically, DCTS, the Integrated Development Plan, is supposed to send the notice to the regional municipalities that are affected in that watershed, and they did not do that. They did not send a plan to the IDC as to know that they're going to be logging further up in the news area, and they did not send the notice to the city. And this is very much affected in the watershed. And the right now, the impetus of the work that's being done by DC Forest Watch, for example, is because of the threat to the habitat that is and not only the clear cutting that is, but there have been fact finding now there's a study that's being done right now, and the result of that study, the population survey, is not even complete. And they don't expect it to be complete until August of this year, but they're going ahead with further plans to integrate that habitat area while they're doing a study to determine the conditions and affect the habitat. So that's what they're not at all talking about watershed. And I think that's one thing as a municipality, we really focus on our watershed. So that's what so that seems to be, I think, the way for us to go about it. I have over 1 million. And that's only because we can, I mean, if anybody wants to look at what I have here, I'm ready to go. Here, that's all the council that I have. That's too much. The one situation I have, and I have it from biologists, from foresters, from retired foresters, from academics. And I'm just really struggling with food. This amount of information I care about it, because we don't know about it. And I've had to disseminate a lot of information, and what I'm trying to do is disseminate it for them and try to articulate something that's relevant to us. So what I'm hoping to do is, our next council meeting, as a new council as a whole, is put forward as simply as possible a motion that we can do. Because there was actually something in UPPM, and I just got this today, but UPPM put out the UPPM forestry survey. The deadline for filling out that survey was January 15th. And it's about how well our municipalities be consulted in by UPPM. And the UPPM is understanding that a growing number of municipalities have the problem can report the cutting enforcement, even for cutting it too fast. And it's short-term job, and there's no money to do. So we just said that I have a call in to UPPM. I'm talking to the environment to UPPM. I call in and asking them if I try to find it on the UPPM website, what motions, what policies UPPM has now standing and I can't find it, so I've got to call in to the chair of the environment to UPPM, asking the what kind of policy. So what was the report? I just get it back to her, I would get another question. Because there is a document sometimes. This is the question that's always in a way that hasn't been articulated, such as impact on watershed, impact on living water, we need to notify before our forest is not using. You know that we only see is our business. And we need to be notified. So because it's actually having a know. So that's where I am right now. And I've been so I can't believe that anybody but I'm going forward. People have more research.
So, in addition to the water application, what we consider our water source, we have a referral for the organization last week, 1.7% for council about the water planning of the and the remediation of the just so our council is aware of it. That typical process that they would provide that and then government. have the information that will be great. The next step scenario, I'm expecting that we can the council would like to ask you to come. So, I just, and opening up that process for future dialogue, should there be one, should there be something that we know.
Because they're also going to be using some of our local roads or highways and access to those, whether it's in the regional district, in the city of Grand Forks, understanding that, potentially load restrictions and having that communication, that dialogue with them would hurt. So it just opened up that process. So if council would like to potentially consider a resolution to ask staff to make contact with the logging companies to have them come in and provide a report of this to council, then we can embark on that.
Councilor Hamilton, Councilor Wilson.
A couple of questions. One is Forest Watch in communication with Minflow?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And so the forestry,
Glenroe.
they're not, Glenroe,
Yeah.
Minflow. And are they not concerned about this?
About what?
About the cutting,
No,
excess cutting?
no, because this is what I want to just respond, this works for both you and with Mr. Allen, is their justification for this cutting is mountain pine beetle, but they're not just cutting pine, they're cutting everything. And the amount of wood that they're also wasting that's their justification. And under the current government, under Clark with Bennett and Polak, they just want to cut. And it's costing them something like, the wood that they're cutting is worth $6 million, and it's costing them $25 million to cut it. But they just said it's all about jobs.
The second question is, how involved is Granby Wilderness Society in this?
No.
They're not? So why wouldn't they be?
I think it's because they don't want to appear as an activist organization right now. And so it's not that they're not.
Have they taken a stand? Did they have any?
Not that I know of, at least not right now. We're just focusing on this Plan 11. And I'm sure they're aware of this, but we're not hearing from them. If they're doing something separately, I don't know anything about it. But there's a lot of individuals throughout the region who are writing letters to BCTS to slow down on this plan, slow down on this new logging plan. What they're doing, I have no idea. But my impression was that they were reticent to come out strong against, they've changed their focus.
Because I know, they've been active for quite a number of years, and they've been big on the conservation of the habitat for the Granby grizzlies.
Yeah.
And that's been a primary focus of theirs.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm surprised that they haven't joined forces.
Not so much joining forces.
Councilor Butler.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to compliment you on your report. I think it was a good overview. It's a lot to look at, and it's a lot for one councillor to take on, and all of us are busy, so it is hard to look into that. And I think it's really important that we stay focused on that, because like you said, it is going to impact our watershed. I've seen an aerial photo of how our watershed used to look and how it's looking today, and I've seen the size of this cut block from the information that you gave me. And I'm just wondering, what is our timeline to respond on this? It sounds like we've missed the boat a bit, and with what Mr. Allen's suggesting, I would like to hear from the company that's doing the project as well.
Well, the comment period for this ended January 22nd, and I've written a letter, and other people have written letters, and they basically, and what our first request was that they extend and publicize this comment period more broadly, and they said no. So the next step is to just keep the pressure up and somehow try to slow it down. Talk to them. And it doesn't matter how much information we have in our favor, and it doesn't matter, I've realized it doesn't matter how much data we have, they want to cut it. They want to do this. And when they have that mandate, data and information, scientific or otherwise, does not matter.
Councilor Thompson.
They don't.
Thank you, Your Worship, through you to Councilor Roth. Do they not consult with First Nations on these issues?
They have to
as well?
consult with First Nations. Mm-hmm.
But not local government.
Actually, you know what? I don't know if they do have to consult with First Nations all the time. I don't know if they do.
So does council have a flavor to put a motion forward? recommending staff to pursue this?
Can we slow down on that?
The answer is no.
Can we wait until I have my motion? I just feel like we're gonna get a greenwash. And, I mean, Dawn Guido has invited me to come and meet with her as well and ask her questions. And I would like to do that, but I'm really reticent about sitting here and listening about mountain pine beetle. Because I think that's what we're gonna get. We're gonna hear about jobs and mountain pine beetle and how this is their plan to get ahead of the mountain pine beetle. And I would find it difficult to sit here right now at this stage. Can I have 2 more weeks to finish this and get a motion on the table that's relevant and palatable for you? And then that's not too radical. And then invite them to come forward.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Okay, is there any other discussion, because we have a question on Councilor Butler?
Yeah, I just wanted to respond to what I'd put in my report this week. Previously, council had passed a motion asking staff to disclose how much we spent legal expenses in 2015. And I was told at the last meeting that I didn't put a timeline on my motion and therefore the information wouldn't be forthcoming. I think that this is extremely important because in the lawyer's documents that were released for the city's court case coming up, it was stated that the court case could run over $100,000. And at this point, I'd really like to see council take a step back and mitigate those costs as much as possible. And not being able to have access to the information of how much has already been spent, I think is worrisome that council, the people's representatives, aren't able to oversee the spending of that money. So I would again ask that the CAO disclose to council the requests of their motion passed at the previous meeting.
Councilor Thompson and then Councilor Hammond.
Thank you, Your Worship. Through you, in response to Councillor Butler's comments. When that was discussed, it was discussed on the Monday when we had our budget presentation. And that was brought up, you brought it up at that time. And it's not that the information won't be made available, it's that the information is incomplete at this point in time. We don't have all of the invoices for 2015. Our staff is in the process of completing year-end information and work, in addition to preparing and bringing forward the proposed budget for the 5-year financial plan. And so I think you are absolutely incorrect in suggesting that our CAO is not willing to respond to your request for information. That is not a fact. The fact is he will respond when the information is complete. And as I said Monday at the budget workshop, that is the information I want to see. I don't want to see it piecemeal. I want to see the entire amount of money expended in 2015, including the invoices that are probably still coming in or being processed.
Councilor Hammond.
Yes, I just want to basically reiterate what Councillor Thompson said, is that this has already been explained, and we've discussed this several times in meetings, that the information is not being withheld. So staff is working on the annual year-end and the financial reports right now, and all the information is incomplete, and it will be forthcoming to us. We did pass a motion that we wanted to see that information, and it has been explained to us that it will be available as soon as it's prepared, but we don't want to take staff away from doing what they're doing right now with the financial year end, and have them focus on a line-by-line item. So this has already been explained.
Absolutely. I concur with that. Councilor Butler.
Just in response to that, when I go to other committee meetings, as I stated in my report at the Rec Commission meeting, for example, we're provided with detailed financial statements on a monthly basis, and we're able to have our questions answered in a timely fashion. I was told that these reports that I was asking for now wouldn't be available till May when the year end is done. And unfortunately, that's too late for council to have to wait for information to be able to make good decisions on a monthly basis. If we don't have access to financials on a regular basis, it's hard for us to make good decisions.
Councilor Butler, in response to that, I failed to see the urgency of this. And again, when it's been stated that they are not complete, so I failed to see the urgency of your request. Councilor Thompson.
Thank you, Your Worship. I would just suggest that if we were going to have a line-by-line information on a monthly basis, as I believe you are suggesting, Councilor Butler, then it would be focusing on all of the revenues and all of the expenditures, and we could pour over them till a certain very hot place froze over. To ask questions, and I don't think that's what council is here for. We do receive financial updates from our management team. We do know where things are going, and just to pick out one specific cost center or line item or however you want to describe it, that is just taking away our staff's time from the more important duties that they have to go. So I'm just quite happy with waiting until the year end is complete, we get the report, and then we will know what that information is.
We have a question on the table. All in favor to receive the written reports? So carried. Moving on now to the RDKB rep report, which is myself. On January 13th, I attended the RDKB meeting in Trail, the committee of the whole, and they call it the COW. The major issues discussed were their budget matters, of course. Also discussing on was solid waste management and the possible shaving back hours on landfill sites in order to cut costs. Also on the reuse sites, conversation hinged on either relocation or closing them due to potential exposure of employees to hazardous material. On January 21st, the RDKB meeting in Grand Forks office was a BEC meeting, and the director, Margaret Ruppel, was elected as the vice chair, and most of the discussion was hinged around the trails. Some of the speakers were Doug Zone from the ATV Club, Kevin Yates, Ross Elliott, and our own Chris Mosman. Similar discussions were held, as was already previously held at the Omega, and they basically centered around surfacing, expanding, promotion of the trail system, better lobbying to higher levels of government, as a BEDC, signage and mapping, and new trail brands, so for the ongoing maintenance of the trails. And that's about all that encompassed on those two meetings. But now I'd like to put on another note a recommendation or for a motion to direct staff to pursue the Craft Hockeyville application for our community. I think it's a great endeavor, and the community stands to get some possible funding for the upgrade of our arena, which I believe we need a new roof. So it's a great opportunity, and I think it's a great positive for our community that should we be fortunate enough to be chosen. Councillor Hammond, second, or Councillor Thompson. Discussion. Councillor Hammond.
I think this year is an excellent year to be bringing that forward because the community has a lot of focus on the hockey this year since the Bruins are doing so well. And so there's a lot more active participation, I believe, in the community towards our hockey. So this would be a big year for us to do.
And it was one of our citizens that brought it to my attention. So we see that the community is quite active on this, and I really, really encourage that, and that's a great sign that we're. Councillor Crowder.
Yeah, just back it up just a touch. If we fill out the application, right, or to go with the Hockeyville thing, any of the other communities that have done it, it's been a group of individuals with close ties to hockey that do all the background work, all the organization, all the seeking support and stuff. So you said it was a citizen. Is it just a citizen that said, this is a good idea? Or is it a citizen that says, we need to form this group to try and accomplish this? Or are we just cart before the horse?
It's more of the city just giving it an backing or an endorsement is more or less. We're not gonna be doing the application ourselves per se, but just to put it out there that we are endorsing it and backing it as a city, and that's the main. Councilor Nass,
So do we have a group that's prepared to take this to the next level?
at this point, I'm not aware of it, but I should look at it further to see why we'd like staff to pursue it, to see where we're at. Maybe our Sarah from our communications level to see what can be done. We're not gonna be directly, we don't need a motion to do this, but just to get staff.
So again, are we being a little presumptive that if we're saying we support this, but there isn't an organization to follow it through, is it like Grand Forks saying, yeah, we want to be hockey bill? Oh, by the way, we really didn't do anything. Do you see where I'm coming from? Yeah, like I like the idea and I would definitely support it. And at this table, I think it's good to tell the community that we're interested in it and can we pull this off as a group? Like the city and combined rather than just the city saying it. So,
More on a communicative level
Yeah.
from the city to put it out there to see where.
and
And we only have 18 days, we don't even have 18 days anymore now, the timelines cut back.
For the application?
So I believe I forwarded all accounts questions, and this citizen attempted to answer it to the best, but we wanted to put more input into it. Councilor Butler.
I would just say that we've got 4 new members on the rec commission board that are extremely excited about being there and have a great background and a wealth of knowledge. So I'm sure there's people in the town that would step up to help move us together, for sure.
Councilor Thompson.
Through you to Councilor Butler, when does the rec commission meet next?
It won't be until the middle of February.
Probably too late. Okay, so the question is on the table. All in favor of having staff pursue this? So carried. And that is my report. So may I have a motion to accept my verbal report? Councilor Butler, Councilor Hammond, all in favor? So carried. To the Chief Financial Officer. It's the financing of the ladder truck, and the subject matter is the funding of the ladder truck purchase. And to our Chief Financial Officer. Sit on
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Conrad. Apparently I don't have a microphone.
the side.
Thank you. So we discussed this fire truck and the funding for the fire truck a bit over the last year, quite a bit over the past 2 years. We had discussed financing it from different reserves, financing it from a property tax, a parcel tax. Basically what this does is we would be borrowing the $722,000 from the MFA to be paid back over 5 years, and then we would fund it either through the parcel tax or a property tax to make the payments on it each year for the 5 years, and then it would be done. So if we don't do this funding through the MFA, we're basically taking it from our surplus by default, and we don't want to be taking it out of our surplus. We don't want to drain our surplus. We might need that for emergency funds. Are there any questions?
Councilor Butler, Councilor Thompson.
Yeah, at the November 9th meeting, when we discussed this, there were different options put forward, and one of them was, and I'll just read you from the November 9th minutes. In 2015, the city received $46,000 revenue from the sale of a 1992 Superior E1 aerial pumper. Therefore, the city could fund $46,000 from this sale, and the balance $315,000 from the equipment reserve. The remaining balance of $361,000 could be funded through the MFA. And doing it this way, we would incur about $12,000 less, I believe, in interest payments. I kind of liked that option. Wondering why that isn't an option today.
The reason that I brought this option forward is because we are going through our capital budget right now, and we are looking at the different uses that we will have for these reserves down the road, and I'm worrying about using too much of a reserve. I think it would be wise to keep that equipment reserve for other projects, and do this through a parcel tax. We could bring it back with other options if council so chose.
Councillor Thompson and then Councillor Hammond.
Thank you. I think the public needs to be aware that our CFO was astute enough to lock in some monies for this at a preferred rate, US dollars. With the value of our dollar today, that has saved us substantial amounts of money. And as she also stated, we don't want to deplete the reserves that we have. And we have discussed this at some length, and determined that it was in the best interest of the community as a whole to borrow the monies on over a 5-year term. And that is certainly what I will support, and I am quite prepared to put forward that resolution. That council finance the 2015 Rosenbauer 101 Cobra platform fire truck through the Municipal Finance Authority Equipment Financing Program for $722,518.58 under Section 175 of the Community Charter for a maximum of 5 years with no right of renewal.
Do I have a second?
So for
Yes.
discussion,
You want a second?
yeah, I'll second the motion.
And Councillor Hammond for discussion.
Yeah, I just wanted to state too that, one thing to note is that the interest rate on this loan is 1.31%. And I think the reason that we chose to go with the 5-year loan is because the money that we do have in reserves is actually making more money in interest than what we would be paying out. So correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't that correct?
Yes. So
Yeah.
it's better business practice.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Councillor Butler?
That makes good sense and that answers my question, so I feel more comfortable with that. I am still wondering about doing it through a parcel tax rather than through the regular tax rate. As a parcel tax, every property owner will pay the same amount as every industry. Everybody pays the same rate, right? And I know that this fire truck was needed because we needed the higher ladder to reach the taller stacks at Roxall and Silver Kettle. So we didn't really have to go with such an expensive truck if we weren't looking forward to help out industry. So I was hoping that maybe people with lower incomes would be taxed based on their property rates the same as they are with regular taxes, and that the industry would end up picking up a bit more of the tab on this. I know that they are at a high tax rate already and we don't want to discourage them, but considering this truck was purchased mostly for that purpose, I would like to see it divided up a little bit more fairly with a regular property tax.
Any other discussion? You have a question on the table? All in favor? Anyone opposed? Councillor Butler? So carried.
Yeah, they're all recorded now.
Moving on to our Manager of Development and Engineering Services. It's the subject matter of the BC Conservation Foundation, the BCCF Wild Safe BC program for 2016. And the recommendation is that council supports staff proceeding with preparing the application for a Wild Safe BC Community Coordinator for 2016 season. And I have a mover on that one, Councillor Hammond. Seconder, Councillor Ross. Discussion. Councillor Ross.
Okay, you know, you've been here a while and you have a memory of what we did last year.
Yeah.
And I remember last year that I endorsed this. I think that's a really valuable part of our community here in British Columbia. And as we see more wildlife encroaching on urban areas, or urban areas, I should say, encroaching on wild spaces, I think it's increasingly important to support this work. So I just think we should endorse this activity and continue to fund it.
Any other discussion? Councillor Butler.
I'm just curious on the cost for the program. I see on the receipt that we received from last year on page 40 that it said the total contract dollars was 16,000. What was the city's portion of that?
I believe last year it was we contributed $8,000.
That was it.
Yeah, it was a $2,500 base amount, and then we did a reach top up.
Yeah.
to bring it up.
Any other discussion? All in favor? So carried. Okay, moving along. For our Deputy Corporate Officer of Communications, subject matter is the memorandum regarding the municipal and regional district tax, otherwise known as the MRDT. And the recommendation is that council receives the information obtained by staff from Kevin Gates regarding the percentage of accommodators within the city of Grand Forks that were in favor of the tax and bring it back to council for decision at a regular meeting on January 25th, 2016, which is this evening. So may I have a mover on that first? Councillor Crog, a seconder. Councillor Thompson, discussion. Councillor Hammond.
Okay, I just want to point out that if we agree to this and vote on it, they've stated here that it's proposing to be applied regionally. And I just want to make it clear that this is not going to be regional. It's going to be Grand Forks and Christina Lake only. And I don't have a problem with that. I just think that the wording needs to be specified that it's not region-wide for the boundary because Midway and Greenwood are not participating. So it will just be Grand Forks and Christina Lake.
So this information is just for the participants, which are ourselves and Christina Lake. Understandings. Councillor Crog.
Yeah, there was concerns about the amount of support that they had, whether it was 60% or various numbers were popping around, but they were all over the 51% support. When it comes to just Grand Forks, it's 70%. I think Christina Lake is 100%.
It would be more than 61%, 64%.
Councillor Thompson.
That's watered down.
Thank you, Your Worship. Just so that the public is aware, this is not a tax that the city is going to be taxing our residents. This is a tax that's going to be added on to guests who are staying overnight in our motels. So this has no impact on the gallery or members of council as well. So it's not an additional tax. This is the one that is being taxed for by those who are staying in the hotel to promote our area. So I just wanted to make sure that people understood that. So.
Thank you, Councillor Thompson. I was going to comment on that too. It just affects the hoteliers in the community. And actually, it's very commonplace in most communities that they do have this. So it's nothing new. Councillor Butler.
Yeah, originally I wasn't in favor of supporting this because I'm just not in favor of taxing the people more than we already are taxed. And I know it's not falling on us, but we're doing it to other people that are passing through. And I'd much prefer to go to their communities and not have to pay more tax too. Seeing as it does have 70% support from our hotel owners, and it seems to be supported by the Chamber and Foundry Museum that was in here today that will be helping to administer. I feel that I have to represent the people and what they want, so I will end up voting for it, although I just wanted to say I'm not in favor of more taxes.
But unless I'm incorrect, the monetary achievement on this will help promote marketing and advertising, which is, a plus for both areas, and it's for the hotels too. So I mean, again, already being commonplace in most places in hotels, I don't think it's a novelty, and I don't think it should affect anything. And now that we know that our local hoteliers in the 70% factor approve it, I see no reason. But in any event, we're just receiving the information at this point.
No, I think we have been, we're voting on it.
Okay.
Yeah, but I just wanted to make a point.
Motion is to receive the information.
He wanted a motion.
If council felt like if you had enough information now that somebody could put
This is
it
Yeah,
why
we
we brought-
have a flavor to
But I-
endorse this, but we have a question on the table right now to receive the information first.
But, and discussion still?
Yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify your last comments from Councilor Butler, regarding the chamber. The Boundary Museum is going to be administering the tax and looking after the collection of the tax. The Chamber of Commerce is in support of it in principle, but they're not endorsing it at this time because it's not a boundary-wide initiative. So I just want to make that clear. The Boundary Chamber of Commerce is not, endorsing it because it's not boundary-wide. And that's where their mandate is, their boundary. So just to clarify that.
So the question on the table, all in favor? Anyone opposed? So carried. So can I have a motion then to endorse this?
I'll make a motion that the city of Grand Forks, endorse the implementation of the regional, municipal regional hotel tax at 2%. That will be effective in Grand Forks and Christina Lake.
Do I have a second? Councilor Thompson. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion? Opposed? So carried. Moving on to our information items from our Chief Financial Officer, subject matter memorandum regarding the BC assessment 2015 supplementary update, and the recommendation is to receive the information, the memorandum from the Chief Financial Officer regarding the BC assessment 2015 supplementary update to our Chief Financial Officer to speak on.
Thank you, Mayor Conrad. I don't know if there's any questions regarding this. BC assessment does do supplementals every year. Most years it doesn't affect Grand Forks, or when it does, they're just small amounts. This year, however, we had a couple of big ones, and I just wanted to give council the heads up. This will be included in the 2015 financial plan amendment because it was a shortfall on municipal tax revenue. The suggestion that I have for the future is that we create a tax stability fund that we put, say, $1,000 or $2,000 in a year, so that we have a little bit when this happens every 5 years or so, when these unexpected changes to the roll come. In this case, it was an error to the rule, the last big one, that we have sort of a buffer and it doesn't affect that year's taxation.
Thank you. May I have a mover on the question?
Yeah, which is.
Councilor Crog, I have a seconder. Councilor Butler, discussion. Councilor Crog.
Yeah, my question, I think it was almost 14,000. And you mentioned you mentioned that we should be looking at a contingency reserve, say, tax stabilization reserve. And that makes a lot of sense. When do we want to pursue that? Is that something that we should be looking at doing a motion and starting now, or should we wait?
To our Chief Financial Officer, what is your recommendation?
Thank you, Your Worship. I could bring it forward in the 2016 financial plan as a start, and then council could endorse it through that.
Okay. Any other discussion? Councilor Hammond.
I'm just curious, in here it says that in September 2015, supplemental cycle 7 was issued. And the revision resulted in the assessed value of one large residential folio decreasing from over $2 million to $322,000. Like, how does a property go from being worth over 2 million and decrease down to 322,000?
Will it burn down?
To our Chief Financial Officer.
Thank you. That is our property that we almost acquired in tax sale. And I believe that when the assessment came out, they disputed their assessment, as you can, up until January 31st. And it's been in the process the entire time, but they disputed that the value that BC Assessment had assigned. It was extremely high. And so I believe that there were appraisals done, et cetera, comparatives done as they do when they go and look into these, and it was decided that that was much too high of a value for it.
Thank you. Councillor Hammond.
Really? That's an awful lot. And then the other one reduced from 3 million to 1 million.
And that was because there was a restricted use found, and this was a court case that they'd gone through the court case for the last 2 years. Apparently, Provincial Rental Housing had brought this up, that some of these properties had been given too high of a value as they had a restricted use. And I started reading the legal today. It was an awfully long legal document, but it was a debate about restricted use on a property and how that affects the assessed value. So that's how that all came down through the courts.
Okay, thank you.
Wow.
Any other discussion? All in favor of the question? Anyone opposed? So carried. Moving on to our Deputy Manager of Operations. Subject matter is the memorandum regarding the Campground Policy 1206 and Campground Bylaw number 1812 and its amendments. And the recommendation is that Council receives for information the memorandum from the Deputy Manager of Operations regarding the Campground Policy 1206 and Campground Bylaw number 1812 and its amendments to our Deputy Manager of Operations. May I have a motion?
No.
Councillor Crog, Councillor Butler.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So in 2015, we had a lot of complaints in regards to some of the uses in the campground. And once we started looking at our policies and the bylaw at that point, we realized that we don't really have any teeth in there. And at the same time, we figured out that the policy wasn't really a council policy, it was more like a procedural policy, like from operations end. So we decided we got to get this changed and fixed, and we have a deadline of May 1st when the campground opens. So what we thought of, we created kind of an idea of how we would roll this out through council. So you guys get the bylaw ahead of time and the policies, and you guys have a little bit of a look at it to be better prepared for when the committee of the whole comes, instead of having a last minute kind of 1 week time frame. I think that'll help everybody out. We've gone already through some internal reviews. Some other stakeholders were involved with discussions. The event planner here, Sarah, was involved. We've got quite a team on this, and we're hoping to just see this through with the appropriate timeline and hopefully have it all in place in time.
That's very nice that we're getting the advanced information like that. It gives us a lot of time to dissect it. Councillor Crog.
Yeah, I appreciate not only the advance notice, but the actual proposed timelines. Because it lays it out clearly exactly what we can do in that certain period of time. So when people go, oh, well, it's a third reading, first reading, whatever. It'd be nice, if applicable, if this type of thing went with basically all of our bylaws that are coming up. No, well, not all of them, but the ones that we need that information for. So I like that. And we've had rave reviews in the past about our campgrounds and stuff. It's just sad that a few idiots destroy it for everybody, for the visitors as well as the locals and stuff like that. So yes, I'm all in favor of revising that so we don't have that situation pop up again.
So we have a question on the table in receipt of the information, so all in favor? Anyone opposed? So carried. Moving along to our monthly highlight reports from our department managers. Subject matter, staff request council to receive the monthly activity reports from the department managers. And the recommendation is that we receive these monthly activity reports from our department managers. Are there any subjects that we need to discuss on? Mr. Allen.
Just one highlight for Mayor and Council. One of the things that we're going to be embarking upon this year is, as part of our occupational health and safety program, we're going to be highlighting one key feature that we're going to be trying to work on with raising awareness around specific safety items within our organization. So this month our focus is going to be on personal protective equipment. What we want to be able to do is share that information with other industries, share the information that's going on, be able to ensure that people understand that when we're working on specific projects with our team, when they're doing certain things that maybe people might look at and not understand the reasons why we're doing it, we are required, and not only required, but we look out for our workers to make sure that we do have the proper personal protective equipment and safety equipment in place. So when we're going out and undertaking certain activities, it's just important for our community to know that that we are looking after these processes. So each month we'll be focusing on a specific topic within our organization, and this month, for the month of February, will be what's notified or better known as PPE. So we'll be talking a lot about that with our team, and then the following month we may be talking about shoring or something along those lines. We want to make sure that all the industry are thinking the same way when it comes to this type of stuff. So that's our goal as an organization moving into 2016.
Thank you. May I have a mover on the receipt of the monthly activity reports? Councillor Hammond, Councillor Thompson, any further discussion? Councillor Butler.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to our Deputy Manager of Operations. I was just wondering the status of our wells right now. I heard that there might be a problem with well number 3, and I was just wondering how you guys are dealing with that, and where well number 2 is at as well. I know we've got a couple wells that are getting older, and I was just hoping you could update us on that.
Mr. Mayor, I'll address that question. The well was taken out of service for some operation, or to have a look at it to determine and prepare for the upcoming season. Well number 3 is the motor on it has, from what we understand, there's some challenges with it. We're determining what the situation is going to be over the next couple of days. The manager of operations will be reporting on that at the budget deliberations on Wednesday, and we're looking at options within that and prioritizing that. So the status of the well is it was taken out of service for maintenance, and it was determined that the well, the motor itself was, there were some operational challenges with it. Well number 2, we're not aware that it is having some challenges right now. We know that it was discussed in the engineering report, or the engineer's report on the replacement of well number 2, but well number 3 is out of service, and the mayor and I were discussing that today, that from our organization, it is the workhorse pump for our organization, and it will be getting consideration in the budget deliberations.
And 3A is working all right?
I don't know about 3A.
Okay.
Any other further discussion? All in favor of the question? Anyone opposed? So carried. Moving on to our bylaws section. For manager of building inspections and bylaw services, the subject matter is amendment bylaw number 1957A4 as it relates to Schedule 4 of the municipal ticketing and information bylaw number 1957 in regards to the unsightly premise bylaw number 1962. And the recommendation is that council gives the amendment bylaw number 1957A4 its final reading at tonight's meeting on January 25th, 2016, regular. May I have a mover on that? Councillor Thompson, a seconder. Councillor Krog, any discussion? All in favor? Anyone opposed? So carried. To our manager of development and engineering services.
This is the one that you're.
Oh, yes. My apologies, yes, we're on that one. So now we're going, there's no late items. So we're moving on to questions from the public and the media. And before we begin, may I just caution everyone in the public that if the subject matter does not relate to tonight's agenda, we'll not address it. So go ahead. To the lady in the front row.
Thank you, Mr. Conrad. Mrs. Hamilton. My question is going to be addressed to Councillor, through the mayor, to Councillor Thompson. I'm going to preface my question with a bit of background. As a concerned citizen pensioner, we are really careful about saving the money for paying things like property taxes. Okay, those bills are very big to us. Okay. I was very interested in the subject that came out about the prosecution of Councillor Butler, because I'm concerned about how much the citizens are going to have to pay. And I understand that there may not be an accurate figure at this moment, having heard you reply. I understood the budget was made before the court case was initiated, and therefore the cost wasn't included in the budget, and therefore it's not in that 6% increase, right? So far, so good. I understood there was supposed to be a special amendment if you are going to spend money over and above budget. So I'm asking, how much money has been authorized by council to spend on the prosecution, and how much has currently been spent? I've understood that you haven't got an accurate figure at this moment, so I've understood that for the full amount. So my question is, how much has been authorized, and then how much has been spent?
Thank you for your question, Mrs. Hamilton. First of all, the question was legal fees in total. It did not relate to any specific expenditure or area in which those legal expenses can arise. And they can arise for human resources, land transactions, any number of issues that can arise with a municipal government from time to time. So it was legal fees in general. It's legal fees that in total is the number that I'm interested in, not just the legal fees expended in one specific cause. So, and as I said, the invoices are still coming in through the year. It will probably be an all-encompassing number, and I don't know that personally that I want to have it broken down into legal fees incurred with land issues or legal advice for human resource issues, or because it's not just there's so many things that comprise that cost center, and so I'm sorry that the information just isn't there.
You know, I'm not background like yourself in the city treasurer. I don't have that background, but I have on my computer a breakdown. Because we live from month to month, I have on my computer a breakdown, how much is food, how much is gas. It's very difficult for me to envisage the city doesn't have a running breakdown. For instance, I have friends that are on a church board, and they won't, when they have a meeting, they must have the financial situation for good stewardship point of view before they discuss an issue. And I would have thought, as a businesswoman, you would want to have the current situation at hand before you make decisions. And I'm actually addressing you as a pensioner of what, not for your decisions, but I need to know for myself as a pensioner.
With all due respect, I've given you latitude on this question, but you're asking a councillor question. We're an elected official. She's not the accountant or the financial officer of the community. So you're asking a question of a councillor to give you a response that has already been answered in regards to the line item of legal expenses has not been completed. So
With current amount, or they have authorized.
would you want us to guess at it? I don't think.
Yes, I would actually.
No, we don't guess
I
at
really,
situations.
really
No
would like
business
to.
or corporation will guess at numbers. When they are complete, they will be available.
But don't you have an authorized amount?
No comment at this point.
No
Councillor
authorized,
Thompson?
no, did we? No, there's no.
Wow.
When the budgets are prepared, staff does it on a best guesstimate of what we anticipate, or I shouldn't say we, well, yes, we as council and our management team are going to cost in the ensuing year, and that's what we predicate. Basically, the net result of that is on general revenue at any rate is what we we collect in taxes is because municipalities can't run in a deficit situation. I'm a pensioner too, and so I relate to what you're saying, that you have certain costs every month, and personally, I don't like receiving a large bill for property taxes or utilities or anything. So what I have chosen to do personally is to go on an equal payment plan. And I'm paying the same amount every month. And when our pension checks come in, all of those commitments that I know I have come off first. And then we eat after that and maybe have enough gas to go and visit our grandchildren either in Vernon or Abbotsford. So, I mean, I'm fully aware and I can appreciate people on fixed incomes. But having said that, when something unexpected arises, and as our CFO referred to tonight with the BC assessment, and all of a sudden you have to refund money that you don't have, the budget is amended. And it comes through, and I believe that the amendment for 2015 will be coming through probably within the next month or 6 weeks. So, but prior to that, we don't, and I personally wouldn't want to see the line by line by line by line and start micromanaging that. That's not what council is here to do. We're here to set policy.
Councillor Crowley.
Yeah, just a couple of things. It's been stated a couple of times already that at year end is when we process all this information. It is a legislative requirement to disclose it, and it is going to be disclosed. If you mention a small board running month to month with all the information, that's awesome if it's a small board. We have and are starting a huge budget process. Our staff needs every second they have to try and deal with the business of the city. If, as a council, I go, oh, well, I want to do this or I want to do that, it interferes with trying to get our business done. So we will get that information. And a couple of people have said it that the lawyers' fees will help us make decisions. I'm like, what decision am I making? When council makes a decision, it may incur legal fees, but the fact that you have legal fees is not going to make me, I don't know.
To the gentleman in the second one.
Phil Morrow. Mr. Mayor, I don't know if it's rightly or wrongly what I'm about to say, but this discussion has been recurring over several meetings. And what is coming across, either rightly or wrongly, I don't know, I'm going to leave it up to you or the public to decide. It sounds like the council does not want the public to know how much is being spent on the legal fees for the court case. That's what's coming across. Thank you.
We don't have a line item in our budget for the legal expenses incurred for this specific issue that you're referring to. That's Solomon Tennessee. So for including any legal costs incurred for this particular court case that you're talking about.
Lady in the second row first, and the gentleman in the back.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Reverend Tripp. And through you, Mr. Mayor, if I'm allowed to ask a question of Councillor Hammett and Councillor Thompson with reference to Julia Butler's report here when she talks about her disappointment with the court case that is upcoming. I would like to just quickly preface my question with a couple of sentences from Julia Butler's report to council on February 10th, 2015, which will put my question into context. She says in that report, just 2 sentences I'll read, "The hours spent in closed-door meetings that the public knows nothing about, the lack of access to information that I require to make informed decisions is appalling. If the people of Grand Forks knew what was being done in secret, they would be outraged." So my question to you ladies who have been petitioners against Julia Butler and the Supreme Court case, what constitutional basis do you have for seeking to remove her from office, resulting in the disenfranchisement of 702 voters who, knowing that she ran a yard care business and was also against the universal meter watering program, elected her anyway, with the highest number of votes of any member currently on council? I ask you this question because Ms. Butler is representing me when she writes reports that tell me what is going on within this council. So I'm asking you this question: what constitutional basis do you have for seeking to have her removed from office? Thank you.
If I may partially respond to this, what is the relevance of these questions based on today's agenda?
This relevance is based right in her report, which says, "I am obviously disappointed that council has chosen to waste taxpayer dollars on this court case, on this fruitless endeavor." It is in her report, Mr. Mayor. And I'm asking this question to be answered. What constitutional basis do you have to disenfranchise my right to have representation from this woman who me and 701 other people voted into
Did we
her
answer the
office?
question?
Councillor Hammond and then Councillor Thompson. Go ahead.
First of all, it wasn't Councillor Thompson or myself. This was a vote amongst the council.
Are
It
you not
wasn't,
named as petitioners on the petition?
we're all petitioners.
Let's not discuss legal.
Yeah.
This matter is in
Yeah.
the courts right now, and we're embarking on a situation here which is sensitive, and until this is resolved in the courts, we will not entertain this conversation if it goes any further as far as the legal end of it goes.
So you're telling me you won't answer this question?
I would like to answer, if I may. You read a portion of Councillor Butler's February 2015
Yes.
report. Council, under the community charter, can discuss certain things in camera. That is legal, labor, and land, the 3 Ls. That's all we ever discuss in camera. We don't have hidden agendas. We don't meet behind closed doors. And Councillor Butler is generally in attendance and certainly is able to attend all of those discussions and meetings that we have. Once decisions are made at that level, then we authorize that the information be released to the public, and it is. So, I mean, Councillor Butler in 2015 had been in office for 2 months, 2.5 months. So probably at that time she may have truly felt that that's what was happening. But I assure you that is not the case. We discussed the three L's, and once a decision is made, it comes out of in camera, it is reported to the public.
And may I just reiterate on that, there is no so-called conspiracy theory going on as being suggested. Councillor Krog.
I challenge, now that it's been brought up, that Councillor Butler's report from that time, I actually challenged it then, because I'm like, what are all these meetings that have been happening that I don't know about? And it's all secretive. All in-camera meetings are posted. You may not know exactly what the contents are, but you know that those meetings are taking place. So, and for Councillor Butler, as her statement saying she'd be everybody would be appalled at finding out what we were doing. She was at all those meetings. They were all public, or publicly stated meetings, right? Whether they were in camera or not. They were advertised meetings, is what I'm trying to say. So,
Councillor Hammond.
Unfortunately, you've been led to believe something that didn't transpire. And because it was an in-camera meeting and it dealt with legal, land, or labor, and we can't talk about it, anybody can say that we're talking about anything that they want to make up and have you believe it. But you've been, I'm sorry, but led by the nose.
Councillor Butler.
One of the things that I was talking about in that report has now been released to the public. There is a section in the community charter, I've been looking for it, I can't find the exact place here, but it states that when money is spent in camera that is not in the budget, that a budget amendment needs to be made, and it needs to be reported to the public at the next open public meeting. What I was discussing at that time was the $192,000 payout that was made to the CAO that was not reported to the public. It wasn't subsequently reported until over 3 months later. I felt the public had a right to know how their money was being spent behind closed doors.
But those weren't our closed doors.
Yeah.
We weren't the council. You made it sound like we're doing something wrong.
Point of order. The report we're talking about that we're identifying with was done when?
This report here?
Yeah, the report we're discussing right now.
February 2015.
The report was made in February. And although we had spent that money, when I came on council and saw that
So
money
point
had
of
been
order
spent,
here is it is not on today's agenda. So I've given enough latitude on this subject. I had said originally that it had to be on today's agenda. We are not discussing reports from previous meeting, not only months away, but last year. And that's my ruling on that. To the gentleman in the third row.
My concern is, I have a question, my name is Dean Hagan. With the agenda, with the conflict of interest with Julia Butler, my concern is we may lose another, like yourself, Neil, you cater for the RDKB, you cater for the council, and you cater for Roxel, and then vote on sensitive issues. My concern is that conflict of interest? And if it is, same as Julie's with a landscaping business, here you are sitting on these boards, you vote for these boards, just watch your votes for Roxel to get the same fee as me. So I am seeing preferential treatment, and then you do.
Sir, you're out of order. It is not on today's agenda.
With the conflict of interest, how is it not on?
Did we discuss it on today's agenda?
That's all I've heard about is the conflict of interest and all these things. And I'm just worried that if it is true, then we have another issue and we're gonna have lots of more calls. I just would like it to end.
That's your opinion, but we were not.
It is not my opinion.
It's an easy answer to that.
We'll let Councillor Crog address it, seeing as you directed it towards him and catering him of it.
yeah, yes, I have, in the past, catered for the RDKB. Then I sat on the board and I did not cater for the RDKB.
You haven't been serving lunches and dinners for the RDKB for the last few years?
No,
Not one?
not for the last year,
Not for the
when
last
I
year?
was on the board,
When, okay,
right?
but you were still on
And-
council and serving meals for RDKB, were you not?
Yes.
Okay.
As,
And
as
how is
my
that not
business,
conflict?
but
How's that
they're
not
not
conflict?
connected.
He's not
I'm not,
voting on it.
and I have not, catered anything for the city. No lunches, no any of that stuff. I sit on this board.
Right.
And I don't cater for the city. So I'm not sure where the conflict of interest, and Roxel is a private industry.
Fair enough, but I just feel that there's, okay,
That is your feeling, sir, but unfortunately, our councillors are not on trial here.
I'm not putting on a trial, I'm
Well, it
just
seems that
concerned.
you are interrogating to that
I'm just
nature
asking
and
a question
questioning,
because
but it's
it's,
not on the
yeah.
subject matter.
I'm just
of today's
asking a question
agenda.
that's come up, okay, over conflict of interest, and I'm just concerned that if it keeps going, that everyone's gonna be involved in this conflict of interest, and it's just a horrible thing to see my city being torn apart, and that's why I'm asking these questions. I live in this town, I have 2 properties, and I'm seeing my taxes going up on a regular basis, and I will fight for it because I want to find out the truth, and that's all I'm asking. And for you to think I'm railroading or putting anyone on trial, I am not in any way, shape, or form. It's not my job. But it is, as an owner of properties and watching my finances change, I have to stand up for it, and I do need to know what's going on. So
I understand that, but the subject matter, again, may I repeat, is not related to today's agenda.
It's not, but why can't?
Councillor Hammond,
I understand your concern. And the difference being, if we were to make a decision, which council doesn't, on who's gonna cater a lunch or a dinner, Councillor Quad would recuse himself. Okay, and I expect when he sets on the RDKB board or any other board that he might cater for, or any other company that he might cater for, he would recuse himself from any of those decisions. There's the difference.
Yeah, actually, that's what I've done a couple of times, sitting at this table, where there was a public event. And I'm like, well, technically, I can do catering and I can do a concession, but I can't sit here and vote for something like CannaFest and cater there or do a concession. No, so I do what I'm supposed to do as a counselor. If there's even a hint of conflict, I get up, I state it, and I leave.
Yeah.
Okay,
There's.
not everybody does that.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Steve.
are there any other questions? The lady in the second row.
Okay, I'm Donna Semenoff here. This is related to Julia Butler's report about waste of tax dollar money and the court case.
Is it in this evening's or today's report?
Yes, in writing here on her
Yeah,
report, her written
She actually
report.
brought it
Put
up
it again,
specifically.
second time.
Go ahead.
Okay. I do have concerns about the spending of tax dollars here. My understanding was that Ms. Butler had an expert opinion from her lawyer and the city had from theirs. And the two lawyers had different opinions, but we had legal advice. So it wasn't clear cut, right? The lawyers didn't agree. The other thing is that
Ms.
when
Semenoff,
I
you're discussing now legal matters. This is not on a report. We
I'm
are
going-
in a
that's
pending
just-
court case here.
the background here is, she was elected, now the most elected, the highest amount of
It
votes,
doesn't
okay?
matter.
It's no
And-
relevance of what you're stating.
The people knew what she stood for. Now, she's only one vote on water issues.
There's also a charter that we have to follow.
Councillor Hammond.
But am I allowed to speak? So what I'm saying is, she's one vote, you can all still do whatever you want regarding water, yet you're spending so much money to have her ousted. I'm concerned about this financially, and I'm trying to make sense of it, because she's one vote, you outnumber her anyways. And she wasn't making that much, I know the lawyers don't agree, but it wasn't clear cut.
I
So
resent the comment.
I'm
being
concerned
ousted.
about the money, and
That's a little bit of a harsh
if you
statement.
can,
I will no longer listen to this conversation. To the gentleman in the third row,
First off, my name's Steve Mitchell, and thank you all for serving this great little city of ours. Anyways, as per Councillor Butler's report regarding the new department's head, according to bylaw 1623, the CAO can only recommend placement of department heads rather than appoint them. How then can there be 3 recent appointments by Mr. Allen be explained as anything but a violation of this bylaw?
quick question, relevance again.
Why? Didn't have to have any relevance, I was just putting it out there.
Is it on today's agenda? I won't respond to it. Thank you.
Where's that fit?
I'm kind of curious about this.
It's not on the agenda. It won't be addressed. Bring it up
Talking
in
about
another
the
meeting.
department heads that were reporting to us on the budget this year. He wants to know how those department heads are the ones that are reporting on the budget, why they were appointed there.
My question to you, Councilor Butler, do you have any input into these questions that are being
I
brought
failed
forward
to see the
tonight?
relevance here.
I'd like to know what this bylaw 1623 is that he's talking about.
Again, is it on the subject matter? I made it quite clear at the beginning of the public address.
It's up to you to, you know.
And I've made my ruling, we're not going to address it. Any other further questions? To the gentleman in the front,
My name is Donald Ferran.
let me just caution you, if there's anything to do again regarding the Councillor Butler case, you might as well stop right there.
It's not concerning the.
Thank you, then go ahead.
So basically, it's very much about what goes on in this community and tonight. Okay? We know, everybody in the town who's interested in city politics knows that the work yard situation, the employee administration situation is in disarray. The relationship between council and the public is not, the best it should be. And so the question is, and this is based on information that is out there publicly put out by Mr. Allen. Does the administrator, Doug Allen, we talked about this last spring of 2015, and I asked you, did you ever see Mr. Allen's resume? And at that time you had said no. So again, does the administrator, Doug Allen, meet the minimum qualifications of this contract? More specifically,
Not on the subject matter,
a
sir.
university degree in public administration, commerce, or related
I will
field.
not respond to that, nor will anyone to
I
respond to
move the
that.
meeting be adjourned.
Seconder, all in favor? Wait. Oh, to the gentleman in the back.
I'm not a lawyer. I've watched legal shows all my life, and I'm sure if there's a lawyer watching this, they have the same question in their head that I'm about to ask, and it does pertain to something in this meeting. Councilor Butler is asking for an accounting of how much money is being spent by the city in legal fees. Now, she's also in an oppositional stance vis-a-vis the city because the city has asked the court to distract her. I can't think of any legal case where one party can ask the other party to turn over how much money they're spending on their lawyers. Is that not a conflict of interest? I'm asking Councilor Butler, to you, aren't you in a conflict of interest when you ask that information?
These are your tax dollars.
I asked as a citizen.
Yes, these are your tax dollars.
No, you don't understand. I'd like her to ask them. And if that's possible, Mr. Mayor, could she answer the question?
Yeah.
I will say no because it's not on the agenda.
Well, no, she's been asking. I'm just asking her.
She's asking for the legal amount of
I'm
money
willing to be
spent.
fully open and transparent with you, Liz.
Good.
The community charter states that when a counselor is being taken to court, that
Councilor
they,
Butler, you did not address me through me.
sorry, Mr. Mayor, through you.
Point of
to-
order.
To Mr. Johnson.
Go ahead, but I'll give you only a limited amount.
I just
of
wanted to
time.
quote the community charter, and it states that when a counselor is being taken to court, that they are able to maintain their seat and to vote on all matters and uphold every responsibility in the same manner as every other counselor until they're removed. They don't have their rights removed until they're proven guilty. Thank God we have that rule in this country.
But that was not the question, I believe. Is that-
No, it wasn't. No.
No, that was a deviation of the answer.
You're talking about, you're asking council, the city, the staff, to give you information that pertains to a legal case that you are directly involved in. It's akin to talking about something where you have a deciding vote somewhere on a board, like when this gentleman here asked that counselor there about voting on boards where he's actually catering to them as a customer. Well, you're in opposition, you're fighting against the city, and you're asking the city how much money they're spending on legal fees. How is that not, in some sense, a conflict of interest? I mean, if that's not a conflict of interest, I wonder what is.
And not only it's still in the courts at that matter too.
Yeah.
At the same time.
Exactly.
Maybe
Once-
we'll
once-
bring that up in the court case then.
All in favor of the motion to adjourn? So carried. This meeting's adjourned.